Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 6, 2024 meeting of the Westfield, Washington Township Advisory Plan Commission, convening on a Wednesday due to the recent election that you might have heard about. We can start off with staff confirming our presence of a quorum. That'd be wonderful.
Yep, you got it. Mr. Bunkevist?
Present.
Mr. Horke?
Here.
Mr. Kahn? Dr. Keene? Ms. Carlson?
Here.
Mr. McCarty?
Here.
Mr. Mooney?
Here.
Mr. Neal?
Present.
And Mr. Woodard. I believe we have a quorum.
We do. There are no changes to the published agenda, so we will proceed as published. Moving on now to the approval of the minutes of our October 21st, 2024 meeting.
Mr. President, I move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike Neal and a second from Victor McCarty. There was nobody weighed in as attending virtually, so we're all here. Everybody in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? Minutes are approved. We have a published series of dates for meetings in 2025 in front of us tonight. Sure, I get this a little bit closer to me. Have we all reviewed the meeting dates for 2025, and is there anything that seems like any kind of an issue, or is this calendar good to proceed?
Mr. President, I didn't check, but I know that staff was going to look into, because there's not elections next year, that those end up getting resolved, because it typically would be moved to the Wednesday like now, but it looks like they got fixed.
They are fixed, yes.
Okay, perfect.
In the event that there is some unanticipated election surprise, we'll have to then unfix them, but they are fixed and we're good to go in May and November on our usual first and third Monday dates, or first Monday dates is that. So, is there any other questions or concerns about the calendar?
Make a motion to approve the 2025 APC schedule of meetings.
Second.
A motion from Victor McCarty, and the second was from Billy Bunkevist to accept or approve the meeting dates. Voice vote fine for this, probably. Everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? We have a calendar for 2025. If staff will please review the rules of procedure for tonight's meeting.
Yep, thank you, President. Please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private conversation, then we ask you to please quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices at this time. If you must answer them, please quietly exit the room. If you are attending in person and wish to speak in regard to a petition scheduled for a public hearing, then please line up against the west wall once the public hearing is opened. Please sign the speaker sheet as you approach the podium to speak. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. During your comments, please state your name and address into the microphone for the record, and we ask that you not repeat previously stated comments. Your presentation will be timed, and you will be advised when there are approximately 30 seconds remaining. If you are not attending in person, comments regarding a petition, they should be emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name or number included in the subject line. Those comments will be forwarded to the Plan Commission members and the petitioner. We'd like to remind everyone to please speak directly into the microphone so your comments can be put onto the record. Also, please mute your microphone when not speaking. If you come up to the podium to speak, please ensure that the microphone is on as indicated by the green light at the base. Since we have only public hearing items tonight, the department will summarize the petition, then the petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the Plan Commission. The president will open a public hearing. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. Only one member of the group will be given 5 minutes to speak. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. The public hearing will then be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to the commission members. The petitioner will then be given 10 minutes to respond to comments without interruption. The commission will then follow with any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the petition. This may include additional discussion with the petitioner. Thank you.
Thank you. As indicated, there are no consent agenda or items of business, only public hearing items. So we will move on to the first of those public hearing items, which is petition 2411-PUD-24, Lions Team Planned Unit Development Amendment. Staff will introduce, and then we'll hear from the petitioner.
Good evening, APC members. For the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you for a public hearing tonight is the Lions Team PUD Amendment Proposal. The original Lions Team PUD was established through Ordinance 18-11, approved at the City Council's March meeting in 2019. Excuse me. For area context, this PUD makes up about 0.1 acres within the Centennial neighborhood located just west of the Cornerstone Bible Church. Site context can be seen within the provided location map exhibit. This amendment request is to establish modified permitted uses on the property. The original PUD ordinance only permitted various office uses such as professional and medical office uses. This Lions Team PUD amendment is proposing to repeal and replace the originally permitted uses with religious and church uses as an extension of the adjacent church. This petition had its first reading at City Council on October 28th and is in front of you for public hearing this evening. Staff has received no comments related to the petition. Danica Eiler, representative of the petitioner, is here virtually this evening. She is available for any questions, as am I, if there are any for staff. Thank you.
Okay. So the church representative is virtual and not planning on making any kind of a presentation.
I believe that's correct.
All right. That being the case, we will jump right into the public hearing, which I will open at 7:06 p.m. Is there anybody in the House that is planning on making a comment regarding the Lions Team PUD? And if there is not, or even if there is not, quickly, if anybody is attending virtually and wants to make a comment, if you haven't already, please rapidly type an email to planners@westfield.in.gov. We'll hold for a minute or two to see if there is any email public comment to be received. Anything new in the inbox?
Nothing at this point.
All right. We'll hold just a little bit longer and then close the public hearing.
And one note before we close the public hearing. As noted in my staff report, if APC is comfortable waiving the workshop and sending a recommendation tonight, that is noted in my staff report, but after deliberations, we can come back to that. Just want to make that note.
I was going to bring that up after closing the public hearing. All right, it is 7:09. In the absence of any comment, we'll close the public hearing. So, petitioner or staff, fellow commissioners, if there are any questions or comments for the petitioner's representative who's online with us, or staff, now would be a great time to bring them up. This is a relatively small and modest request that's in front of us. It'll be almost kind of a distinction without a difference as far as the appearance of the property. So I concur that if there isn't any concerns on the part of fellow Plan Commission members, that waiving our workshop requirement and moving on to a recommendation would not be an issue for me. But
Mr. President, I think that's prudent, given the use of the land and where it's at and how small it is. If there's no other comments, I'll be happy to make a motion.
any Doesn't appear that anybody's motivated here to say something, so
I'll do it.
let's go
Mr.
ahead.
President, I move that we suspend the rules on 2411-PUD-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Mike Neal and Victor McCarty for waiving the rules, or waiving the requirement for a workshop meeting.
For a workshop, yes.
Yeah. Staff would please call the roll.
Mr. Bunkovist,
Yes.
Mr. Horke,
Yes.
sorry, losing my track. Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Workshop is waived, 6-0.
Okay. We're ready, if we're so inclined now, to make a recommendation.
I'll just keep on rolling. Mr. President, I move that we send a favorable recommendation to City Council on 2411-PUD-24 as presented.
Okay. Second by Billy Blomqvist, was it? As opposed to Victor McCarty? Thank you. Staff will please call the roll on this motion.
Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkovist,
Yes.
and Mr. Horke.
I
Sorry.
will vote yes as well. I was going to vote whether you called my name or not.
It's a lot of writing, trying to keep track, but,
Yeah,
okay.
I can appreciate that.
Favorable recommendation given.
All right. Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the tabs on this. Moving on. Our next public hearing item is petition 2411-PUD-25, Maple Knoll Planned Unit Development Amendment.
Yep. Good evening, APC members. Again, for the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you for a public hearing tonight is the Maple Knoll PUD, Maple Glen Amendment proposal, in which is only referencing the current transportation center site. The original Maple Knoll PUD was established through Ordinance 04-02. For additional area context, the property for the specific amendment makes up approximately 34.32 acres and is generally located at 17303 Ditch Road, as seen within the provided location map exhibit. This amendment request is to permit the consolidation of various Westfield Washington school services and associated site improvements. The amendment would permit an expansion and renovation of the existing transportation center building on site, as well as to permit a detached building primarily used for storage and other school-related programming. A site plan and associated character exhibits have been established within the proposed ordinance to provide what these improvements would look like practically on the site. This petition had its City Council first reading on October 28th and is in front of you this evening for a public hearing. Staff has received no comments related to this petition. Eric Douthit, representative of the petitioner, is here this evening. He is available for questions, as am I, if there are any for staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you coming forward to be ready for questions, or do you have anything to present? Ready for questions. All right. Before we get to the questions, this also is here for a public hearing, which I will open at 7:13 p.m. Is there anybody present who would like to make any comments on this? If there is anybody that is commenting, we do have a sign-in sheet. I don't recall if staff referenced or not. But there also, we'll check our email, same email address, planners@westfield.in.gov, if there's anybody attending virtually that would be interested in making a comment. We'll hold briefly, but please type quickly.
And adding on to that, Bob might just steal your thunder again here, but same situation as the Lions Team amendment. If APC is comfortable after deliberations to waive their workshop and send a favorable recommendation, staff is also comfortable with that. So, thank you.
So stolen.
2 for 2, sorry.
Got to keep these meetings interesting. Hold for just another minute for any potential written public comments on this. And then close it and move on to commissioner comments. The inbox has nothing new. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:15. Plan commissioners, questions or comments for petitioner or staff?
Mr. President, I do have one question, just because I'm not sure it was in pre-APC. Good evening, by the way. Thank you for being here. The northeast corner of the property, that black line that's a big box, what is that?
I asked the same question.
Yeah, we had the same question at pre-APC last week.
I'm not sure I know what that is.
Well, you're helpful.
I'm not helpful at all in that particular.
But you are.
I mean, I assume to the left, those four little things, they almost look like you would dump
That's a
landscaping
storage
items.
shed
Yeah.
that's a storage shed that's gonna go in there. This is the berm to the east. It's
Yeah,
gonna
but
be-
that black line very clearly indicates something's there.
I would agree.
And I don't know that I mind, regardless of what it is, but if it's a wall, is it what is it?
I do not know what it is.
Okay.
Well, that was, question was raised, somebody was hopefully going to find out, but apparently we didn't find out, which is,
I will
Probably not
certainly
that
find out
critical.
Before the next meeting.
That's okay.
yeah, I don't think that's going to affect,
No.
for me anyway, the inclination to waive a workshop and make a recommendation. Yeah, that's the existing, and it's going to change substantially from that.
I would think with the surrounding storage context, I would think it's some sort of possibly screening mechanism to, I guess, maybe try to shield whatever is going on within that storage, but,
Or it's just an error.
or it's just an error. That's also true. But yeah, apologies, I didn't quite get that context
It's okay.
prior to today.
Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions or comments from Plan Commission members? If not, are we inclined to waive the workshop for the schools to be able to move quickly along with this?
If I may be
If
so
so, there will
bold,
be a motion needed.
if I may be so bold, I'll make a motion to waive the rules on 2411 PUD 25 with a Mr. McCarty second.
Second?
Nice setup. All right, we have a motion and a second to waive the workshop for this petition. Staff, please call the roll.
All right, Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkevist,
Yes.
and Mr. Horkay.
Yes, as well.
All right, workshop waived, 6-0.
So, is there a motion regarding sending a recommendation that do we have a comment from the
I do. I have
petitioners'
a
council?
text from Mr. Tom and Michael. He said it is a curb that will no longer be in the final design.
Well, how about that?
I was literally about to text him too.
Make a motion to recommend 2411 PUD 25 with the Mr.
Second.
Oh, love
Gotta
it.
throw it in there
Right.
sometime.
Okay. Hearing from more membership here. We have a motion from Victor McCarty, seconded from Stephanie.
Mr. President, that was done by Mr. Bunkevist.
Oh, that was
the
Mr.
motion.
Bunkvist as well.
I know we're interchangeable now.
Yeah.
Not
One has a flag shirt, one does not.
Yeah, all
We
right.
both have beards now, though.
Now that the motion provider has been corrected to Billy Bunkfist, seconded by Stephanie Carlson, to send a favorable recommendation, staff would please call the roll, and we'll figure out if we are going to send that favorable recommendation.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkevist,
Yes.
Mr. Horkay,
Yes,
and Ms. Carlson.
Yes.
Favorable recommendation, 6-0.
so we are sending that favorable recommendation. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Closing the tabs associated with this. And moving on to our final public hearing item, petition 2411-PUD-26, Ambrose on Main Planned Unit Development. We can have a staff presentation from Lauren with the new hyphenated last name, and then hear from the petitioner.
Thank you. Sorry, technical difficulties. Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. For the record, Lauren Gillingham Teague with the Community Development Department. The item before you tonight is the public hearing for the proposed Ambrose on Main PUD district. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me start. So, good evening. Item before you tonight is the public hearing for the proposed Ambrose on Main PUD district. It is located at the northeast corner of 32 and Northeast Street. With the new 32 project, there will be a roundabout right there, just for a little bit of context. This petition proposes a 4-story, 88 or 87 unit mixed-use residential building with commercial storefronts fronting on 32. There we go. It will have interior parking, so the building will act somewhat as a shield for the interior surface parking, and there will be kind of a breezeway to connect that parking area with the sidewalk and that patio space up front. So similar to other multifamily PUDs that we've dealt with recently, this development will be tied to the site plan, which you just saw, as well as the landscape plan and other architectural elevations included in the PUD. So you essentially are approving these exhibits as presented. And they must be developed. They must be developed in substantial compliance. Yeah, so it's scheduled for public hearing tonight. A neighborhood meeting was held last week at the library. It had a great turnout, a lot of people who I see here tonight. And I've included a summary of that as an exhibit. Shelby Bowen with Rebar Development is here tonight and plans on making a brief presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Not yet. We'll have an opportunity for a public hearing where you can.
I just want to know how the people were supposed to be notified of this.
This is something staff can answer. Let's hear from the petitioner, then we'll open a public hearing. At that point, maybe staff can go ahead and do the explanation, but let's hear from the petitioner now, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission, Lauren. Appreciate the hospitality and hosting the opportunity for you all to hear this PUD ordinance. My name's Shelby Bowen, partner at Rebar Development. And this project kind of began towards the end of last year after the mayor won the primary, and early in the year, he approached us because we've been looking to invest in Westfield for some time. And the mayor kind of directed us to this site. He thought it was an important gateway coming into downtown from the east. And when we looked at it, we loved it. We love the location, its proximity to downtown, proximity to Main Street. And so it was an easy decision for us to try to pursue a project here. You see, this is our design team. I really consider them best in class. We've done a lot of projects together. They've done a lot of fantastic projects throughout the state and really Midwest and some nationally. So we're really lucky to have them on board as a part of our design team. Again, I kind of highlighted why we are looking to partner with the city of Westfield. The mayor and his administration thought that could be a compelling gateway to downtown. Extends downtown, really anchors development here on the east side. As Lauren said, it's on the northeast corner of a proposed, well, no longer proposed, to be constructed roundabout, which we were really excited about. We've, of course, collaborated with NDOT on our plans to make sure that they are consistent with their roundabout plans. It'd be in the foreground right here, as you can see, really could be an iconic gateway coming from the east. And there's been some discussion about what ties in to the south. This, I think, is just one of those concepts that you could see, but still an important location for the project. So project facts from a high level, significant investment. It does have commercial space. The city really wanted to push to have commercial space from the roundabout all the way to the east end cap to this project. It's a little over 12,000 square feet. It's got a really cool breezeway, as you'll see in the concept plans. I'm really proud of all of the outdoor patio and plaza and streetscape and sidewalk areas. 88 units, maybe 87. We're considering adding more amenity space, so we may lose a unit. It's got a very cool rooftop patio for our residents. And then, as I said, I think there are 5 different plaza areas around the building, not including just the general streetscape. It's got 222 total parking spaces. The 216 is minus the handicap spaces. One of the things that I think the city is excited about the opportunity to work with us on this project to extend Penn Street. certainly a great part of a project for us and benefit to us, and I think that the city is really looking at that as an opportunity to kind of extend that network east from downtown. So I think it's an awesome addition to the project. Highlights, you know, when I looked at your all comprehensive plans and all of the discussion about what you're trying to do downtown, it really aligns perfectly with projects we've done. This is our 13th project, all kind of similar to this. This is in our wheelhouse, the size, the mixed use, the location of downtown, the look, the feel. And so we just love all of the things that our projects historically have done when we've built in similar locations here in central Indiana. Proposed timeline, it's a little fluid as it relates to there's an economic development deal, and then there's, of course, the approvals through planning and zoning. And so these are all, this is based on if we can get approvals through planning and zoning and we can get started. It's really indicative of our eagerness to start. Ideally, we would get going in the early spring and be done in summer, fall of '26. I'd like to just, if I could, I think, here we go, and then kind of show you the renderings I think are a part of this. Really proud and worked quite closely. Janelle Fairman and her team, both engineering and architects, everybody participated in the feedback before it arrived to you all. And I'm proud of how far we've come. It's just an extraordinarily beautiful project, very high quality, a lot of outdoor areas here on the east end cap. Really cool outdoor seating that engages Main Street. And then I think what is really probably important for discussion tonight, and some of the folks who are here that I met at the neighborhood meeting, is the site plan. Again, some of the things we're really proud of. We're fortunate, this is actually in a floodway, so that forced us to pull the building back, but was really a good outcome, I think, for some of the folks who are less excited about our building being near their neighborhood. And so this will be a nice buffer, nice green space. It's kind of hard to get that much great green space in the middle of a downtown mixed-use project, so we think it's an awesome amenity. We've pulled the building to the corner and tried to create some pedestrian engagement from the north, thinking about, you know, people walking and on bikes, how they can come enjoy our commercial space and also get down to the path on 32. We're adding a sidewalk on Hillcrest and on both sides of Penn Street and obviously on East Street that don't exist today. And that, again, was, I thought, a great idea on feedback from the city of Westfield. So we want to be pedestrian friendly, bike friendly, golf cart friendly, and we expect to have people really excited about living here. Happy to answer any questions about the project.
Thank you. We will get to that. First, we will open the public hearing for this item at 7:28 p.m. Do we have anybody present who is here to make a public comment? If you haven't already, please sign in, and when you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Kraus, and I live at 558 Hillcrest Drive. It's my house in the upper right-hand corner there of the picture, that tree. Keep going, right there. My wife Deb is here with me, and I'd like to register my opposition to the Ambrose on Main project. We are and have been a neighborhood of single-family homes since our home was the first constructed there in 1957 on what was a cornfield at that time and would later become Robert's Rolling Acres. We bought our home 30 years ago to raise our children here because it's in a quiet neighborhood and is not on a through street. We poured our time, treasure, and talent into this community ever since. Like our neighbors, we had plans to remodel our home and retire here. We like living in Westfield. Our grown children live here. We have been blindsided by this project. The first time we heard about it was at a joint press release from the developer and the mayor a month ago. This project will forever change our neighborhood. We own our home and pay our taxes, and yet the city is going to bulldoze homes in our neighborhood to put in 88 apartments with balconies and a restaurant with over 200 parking spots within several hundred feet of our front door. To be clear, we, the residents of Westfield, are not asking for this project. It will increase traffic, noise, pollution, and crime in our neighborhood. Seems like we're not learning from the mistakes made by Fishers and Noblesville. We're repeating them. We're approving building permits and we'll figure out the infrastructure later. Hillcrest Drive cannot handle the residential traffic it has now. After the construction traffic gets done with Hillcrest, there will be nothing but rubble left. Improving Hillcrest Drive needs to be included in the project's scope, schedule, and budget now. The timeline for the building project, 2025 through 2026, coincides with the project to convert State Road 32 into a 4-lane divided highway. If this project is to proceed, accommodations need to be made to complete the extension of Penn Street through to Hillcrest Drive at the start of the project. If not, given this construction and the 32 project, residents of our neighborhood will find it difficult, if not impossible, to exit our neighborhood throughout the construction. Also, if the project is to proceed, more needs to be done to insulate our neighborhood from it, whether that is green space, earthen berms, and/or landscaping. This building will be surrounded by single-family homes. We cannot in good conscience accept this project without voicing our opposition. Like my neighbors, all my wife and I wanted to do is retire to the home we own and be left alone. You have literally brought this fight to our front door, and we will not go quietly. We are considering any and all remedies at our disposal. If you're looking for an alternate location, might we suggest you purchase the abandoned truck stop at the northwest corner of 31 and 32 and put this building there? It's an eyesore that's been sitting vacant for 30 years and no one is living there, so you won't have to change the zoning and tear down their neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone else present, okay, and while you're coming to the podium, did that last speaker sign in already, staff? Yeah, but I'm the first speaker. Okay. I do not. But I was going to give a final reminder on virtual attendees. If there is a comment that anybody would like to make on this, please email planners@westfield.in.gov. I've given it a couple of times. So at the conclusion of in-house speakers, we'll close the public hearing if there aren't any emails. So staff was asking about the remote. We have a timer. There is a 3-minute limit. We'll try to keep a watch on things, but without it, we still need to proceed. So name and address for the record, please, and share your comments.
Am I good to go?
Yes.
Okay. Tom Ponchak. I live at 433 Sycamore, so just a block north of that. I guess don't really know how I feel about it. Can be open to it. Just kind of wondering, just on a practical side of things, how this lines up time-wise with all of the work being done on 32. Is this going to be, we're closing for 32, we're going to open it, then we're going to close again for have impact with traffic with this. We just went through 3 months of having a maze to get in and out of the neighborhood. And then secondly, I guess just knowing that area, it's not flat. It's got it's an elevated area. What the plans are as far as you can be excavating, land filling in to get this to fit into that spot. So there's just a couple of questions I have. I don't know if you guys can answer that or whatever, but that's all.
Thank you. Are there any other folks present in the room that would like to make? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, hi. Brad Belkey from 636 Hillcrest Drive. I'm on the northeast end of Hillcrest, up on the hill. I was kind of blindsided, along with a lot of our fellow neighbors, on this project. I first saw about it being announced on Facebook. And again, as it's been stated before, we've gone through a lot of headaches and hurdles with the construction on East Street and the 32 utility work. With that project, there was an enormous amount of traffic coming through Hillcrest that I felt could have been avoided.
All right, we're having, if you want to speak, please don't just speak from the, all right.
So with the added traffic, I'm a father of 3 young daughters, and we like to take walks on our street, our quiet neighborhood street. I don't feel like we can do that with a 200-plus parking spot and a thoroughfare to create us a public access road. Hillcrest has been neglected from the city. The patchy repairs have been terrible, leading to nothing more but further degradation of the street, and that has to be fixed. You know, our street floods on the east end of 32, connecting to 32. I don't see where this is beneficial to the current residents. I myself am a long-term Westfield resident. I was neighbors with Mr. Mooney growing up, both, graduates of Westfield High School. This is not what I anticipated seeing Westfield grow into. I think it's great that we're investing in our community and making it look pretty, but let's think of the logistics here as it's been stated before. Let's not turn this into Noblesville or Fishers, because I feel like this is exactly what this is. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Sure, it's a beautiful building. I cannot deny that, but it does not fit next to Hillcrest Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
How you doing? I'm Ian Hardy, 536 Hillcrest Drive. I am directly right next to John where he was speaking with that tree. Right there on Hillcrest Drive, right before that intersection where you plan on putting your parking lot, that's where my son's basketball hoop is. He's 15 years old. He plays there. That corner that's a dead-end street right now, that's where my kids ride bikes. That's where they hang out. That's where they like to enjoy their time when they're at home. When 32 was shut down for the construction that you guys did and didn't know how to make a throughway to go get to 31, I had to come around, go east, then head up north to 191st to cross over to go to 31 for 3 months, 3 months and change, because, of course, it went over schedule. Nobody knew how to do anything where it made sense, and everyone was inconvenienced. I could not go west from my property. It was just insane. That was my wife who's voicing her opinion, and I'm with her on this. I moved here from New York City 3 years ago. And what I'm looking at right here is a project in Queens that I moved to get away from. I brought my children here, my family. My daughter was only 4 years old. My son was 9 months. They knew nothing. And what they know now is a quiet neighborhood where they hang out and they play with their friends. This is going to bring chaos, insanity to what we call our little home. Where we sit out there on the porch right there, we look to the west. That's where we see our balloons, our hot air balloons at night. Hang out, just watch, look at the stars, fireworks. All that's going to be gone because you got a building there. The building is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm in construction. I'm a union electrician. And I'm for this, just not the location, man. There are plenty of different areas that could use this, that could expand Westfield the opposite direction. As he said, 31, the truck stop that's been there for 30 years. I've always heard it was haunted. I thought it was awesome, but hey, get rid of it. It's an eyesore. And this roundabout, that's cool. I know I'm not going to be able to get out of my street either way because they're building a meridian. I'm going to have to come down and come around. That's a minor inconvenience. But to come down, come around, and to have this where I used to just have a little barber shop, and a little Chinese place and donut shop that's now gone. It's just, I feel like it's ruining the feel of what I moved from a large city to come to that small town where, everyone knows your neighbors and then you all hang out. I'm not going to know any of these 88 apartments in here because I'm not going to care to. I want nothing to do with it or the people that are there. The parking lot, it's like I said, it's great, but it's not for this neighborhood, man. I mean, we have just a little U that we come off 32. We're our own little section, no HOA, no nothing. We're houses that could do what we want when we want, and we're quiet. We don't bother anybody. All that goes away with this project. Like I said, you have no problems. You can move it down west, and it would be amazing. Even right on the other side of the street by where the Grand Junction is, right back there where you guys, all the shops and everything are closing down. People are trying to get out of there. I'm sure plenty of people would want to give up their houses and move there because they're trying to leave because it's becoming too much of what they don't want anymore. Like you said, cornfields and all that fun stuff. It's just not what we're here for. I'm looking at another Queens, and I don't like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Oh, another taker.
Good evening. My name's Mary Jo Fritsch. I live at the end of the west end of Hillcrest. Was not notified of anything being built there. The only thing I got were people texting me and putting things in my mailbox, which has been hit at least 10 times and knocked down, numerous times. No one, the only thing I get is people trying to lowball me for $100 and some thousand for my house that I've lived there for 28 years. The people come flying up over the hill at Hillcrest now, thinking it's East Street going through. There's kids up there, like the people said, that play at the end of the street and in my driveway. They come flying up over there, even with the 3 red diamonds that you can see from 32. Doesn't slow them down. All I know is they hit the brakes and they end up in my front yard or over my mailbox. And then someone wants to come in and offer you less than $200,000 for your house when you have more than that invested in it. I think it would have been fair if you had notified the whole neighborhood and maybe bought the whole neighborhood out at a fair price, that they could have gone someplace and bought them a house equivalent to what they have, with a yard, with neighbors that aren't on top of their houses, with streets that the kids can play in. They had 32 closed for over 3 months. Again, we had to go the long way around, a country mile, to go a couple of blocks. I drive a school bus. I get up every morning very early to go to work. Can't get out my driveway now is the way it is, or off of Hillcrest. Then when you had it closed, the people come flying up through there again, hit Hillcrest. They put barricades up there that they ran over. I'm just very frustrated with the city that it took it so long when 90% of the time they weren't even working on 32. They were over on East Street working. I don't know how they plan these things, but they need to get together and plan them so that things are accommodating to the people that live here, instead of being such a nightmare. And it's already like like Noblesville. You can't get down 32 from 31 at 4:30 in the afternoon. Buses are trying to get to the schools are deadlocked. You put another
30 seconds.
88 whatever homes or apartments there, it is a nightmare. I can tell you right now, it already is. I can't imagine when you put any more buildings with people coming and going up and down 32 without accommodating the streets first. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Jessica Hardy. I'm from 536 Hillcrest Drive. I'll be short and sweet. I want to put the face to the person that lives on 536 Hillcrest Drive. We're a family of 4. We have a family right next to us. We have a family across the street from us. We have families down the block from us. This is impacting everything that we've known of Westfield. We moved here because it was a little community that was built in 1961, because it had history, because it had character, because it had love. It was a neighborhood that was filled with love. You're taking that all away. You're putting these modular houses next to each other that look all the same. You're making Westfield look all the same. It's taking away any of the history. It's taking away any of the character. It's taking away any of the beauty that's making these families flock here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. One more speaker, I see.
Good evening. Thanks for the time to speak tonight. Rob Griebentrog from 215 Penn Street, just a golf shot away from the place here tonight. It's been mentioned a couple times, but the press release a month or so ago sent shockwaves through the surrounding neighborhoods. All the neighbors were shocked and surprised to suddenly hear, and the way the press release was worded made it sound like it was a done deal. Like, okay, this is going in, it starts being constructed early next spring, and everybody quickly messaged each other, what's going on here? Nobody has an idea. This big thing, big shiny thing is being dropped on the east side of Penn Street. What is this? Yes, it is impressive, but let's call the elephant out in the room here. When a project like this, that is this drastic and different, suddenly gets dropped in a place like this, I mean, yes, it'd be a nice gateway to the east. However, this kind of thing only spreads, and neighbors up and down the street here now are anticipating a knock on our door sometime in the next month, year, 2, 3. Hey, we're coming to buy you out because now this next plot to the west is going to be developed into the next big thing to join up with the other big thing here to the west. And no idea for Hillcrest to the east here. I mean, that's a very disparate looking appearance from Ambrose to 1 block east. And as the city grows and develops, I can only imagine that other big projects and shiny things are just going to expand from this point. I'm all for Westfield growing, but it was kind of a hurtful wave. It was dropped on us. So thank you for your time. Just want to share that.
Thank you. Is the inbox empty?
Yes, digitally
Okay.
and.
All right. Is there anybody else present that would like to come to the podium and make a comment? If not, well, then come to the podium, provide your name and address. You've already had an opportunity to speak, but keep it brief, please.
You guys showed an image that we didn't see before. So I want to go to the first 3 images that were shown at the beginning of this. Yeah. Okay, no, the one on the right. That. What is that? I didn't see that before today. What's this line on the bottom?
All right, that,
I can address the
yeah,
infrastructure
we
once we
can,
public hearing.
thank you for the question. We'll get that answered. We want to hear from the developer who's been taking notes. He will address what he can tonight, right off the top,
Can anyone
from your
tell me
comments.
what that is?
Yes, we can go ahead and address that too. But if you take your seat, we'll move on. Let's let the developer address your comments while they're still fresh in his mind. If you have anything that you can say, would you please come forward? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The public hearing will be closed at 7:47.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I met with most of the folks that are here, maybe all of them, with the exception of Mary, who we played phone tag here the last few days. We did follow the procedures as required by the city of Westfield and notification and all other. So if somehow there was an oversight, I take responsibility for that, but we have done what's asked to notify the residents. And also I want to say, apartment dwellers are just like us. They want to be in Westfield. They're going to go to church here. They're going to go to the parks, walk in the sidewalks, play with their kids, enjoy everything that's here in this neighborhood. A lot of them want to buy a home here. This is a stop in between coming to Westfield and buying a single-family home. Our experience is they're middle to high income residents, and we invest in this project. If you went and looked at all of our projects in central Indiana, I'm very proud of how they look. They're very clean, they're very safe, and residents enjoy living there and folks visiting. I agree. I think one of the comments at the neighborhood meeting and also here tonight, I have a shared interest to see Hillcrest that adjoins our property to be in great shape. So first of all, if we damage it during construction, we're going to replace it. We'll take pictures of it before we start, and if there's damage, we'll replace it. But second to that, I agree with the neighbors that this road could be improved. I would advocate for that. I've talked to the mayor about that. I share in that desire to see this road improved, and that's why we're adding a sidewalk. But we have a major investment adjacent to it, so anything we can do to improve Hillcrest, we're going to try to advocate for. When we looked at this after the comments from the neighborhood meeting, I really think it improves circulation in this area with the Penn Street extension. And I do think it could benefit from maybe a 4-way stop at Hillcrest and Penn Street, what is the new Penn Street. And certainly then during construction, I think we could add wayfinding to prevent people from going east into Hillcrest neighborhood. There's no reason for that. And then second, for us, construction traffic likely or as a part of collaborating with the city, which I've said we would do, would most likely come in off of East Street, because we have no desire to disrupt the neighbors any more than we will during construction. I also agree with them that we'll need to collaborate on access, because it's not just for them, it's for our folks who will be constructing this project. We want it to be safe and easy, and for folks to be able to get in and out, not just of their neighborhood, but the people who are participating in the construction of our project. So I think that some collaboration there with NDOT and the city is certainly warranted, and we'll be eager to do that. There are no owner-occupied homes in the site that we're constructing. One is vacant, it was a rental, the other is an Airbnb, and then the other two are vacant properties. And so, you know, it's difficult. I sympathize with the folks who don't want to see this project in their neighborhood, and it's difficult when we come in and, you know, they're not happy. It's not a good feeling for us either. We want to be good neighbors, but I feel better about it that there's none of the houses are occupied, no one's being displaced here.
Please,
on the east side of our project, we're planting shrubs all along Hillcrest, all along the eastern edge of our project, and there are 8 trees that'll be planted there as well. And we'll make sure that that's a nice buffer and transition from our parking lot to the sidewalk and Hillcrest.
He's addressing your comments. All right.
Yeah, I took notes of everybody's comments. I'm getting through them. So the next one is, yes, we will excavate the site. There is some topography, so we will have to excavate the site, but we'll start with trying to have the building near 32, and then we'll have to cut in back to the hill to some degree. Access during construction. I think that's all of the comments. If I missed anything, maybe.
I just wanted to add a comment. Ma'am.
Hey, sir, calm down. All right. Calm down.
Which part? I didn't make.
Please,
Yeah.
this is a city meeting. We need to be respectful. Please contain yourself. We'll do what we can to address everything.
Yeah.
I believe there's something perhaps maybe staff can be beneficial on regarding how our notice requirements are crafted.
Yeah, and I'll add
Confirm
one
that, in
more
fact,
thing. We didn't make an offer to Mary. I don't know. We weren't a part of that, so you know that's not something that we have done. We didn't make offers east of Hillcrest.
All right, thank you.
Just to add,
Is there any
public
clarity
notice.
that perhaps could be helpful regarding the notice requirements that are in our ordinances and
Yeah.
our rules of procedure?
Yeah, so if I may. So we, in accordance with Indiana state law, we do put notices in the newspaper, and then the applicant is then, there's
Please.
also a sign on the property. There's also a sign posted on the property with a link to the city's website. And then mailed notice is mailed to 2 property owners adjacent to the site.
This is not I'd like to be able to complete the meeting without it getting any more tense. I know you're upset here. I think we need to have you and the developer meet, and maybe you need to meet with a staff member during normal business hours when they can take all the time that they need to address your comments.
Sir, the public hearing has ended. Sir, the public hearing has ended.
We need for everybody to let us complete. All right. We need for the language to remain proper for a public discourse here. That is not it. If you would like to address this further, there's another time and place that it can occur. And if you need to leave because you can't behave other than you are right now, I would invite you to do so. Staff is available during normal business hours 5 days a week. If you are concerned about how this has transpired, they can explain what was to... I can't answer that question for you. You are welcome to talk to the developer about specific issues that... we're not here to discuss methods of how to halt a development that has been submitted. We are this is the Advisory Plan Commission. We address things that are filed. The city cannot just tell a developer, go away. If the process does not work out in their favor, they will abandon it. But we have a procedure to work through public comments that we are here to receive tonight. We will have the developer go back and work further to try to determine what they can do in addition to what they might have mentioned already tonight to address the comments. You are welcome to ask for a meeting one-on-one or another neighborhood meeting with the developer. I'm sure they would cooperate. You can call your council representatives, you can call the mayor. There's a lot of avenues that you can discuss. This is not the meeting where something like that is going to occur, though, because we are here to hold the public hearing, which we have now done. We have clearly heard that there's a lot of sentiment in the community, of your community, regarding this proposal. Everybody will do what they can to address them, and we'll convene again in the future to determine what that outcome is. But that's all that we can do for you tonight. So please don't keep shouting at us, because that's not the way to conduct a all right, and that's fine, but there's a better way to, okay. All right, please take some of the avenues I've suggested. All right. Sir, you need to sit down.
My question wasn't answered.
Please.
I asked a question, I was told it would be answered.
All right. I believe we've answered everything that we have the capability.
I'll be getting to that.
Right, that's not relative to this particular project, though. That is something that's been out for months or years. That's a plan, that, all right. All right, we've got to stop this. All right, we need to finish talking about Ambrose on Main, and then staff or Victor McCarty, our council representative that also serves on Plan Commission, can provide a little context on the city's infrastructure plans that include a new street, which is what was depicted there. Let's move on, because we really haven't had a chance for commissioner questions or comments regarding Ambrose on Main for the developer or staff. So everybody else in the House, please let us complete the meeting civilly here without further interruption. Plan Commission members, questions or comments for the developer or staff?
Sure, I'll jump in with a few of the items. First, I wanted to address, of course, the press release being mentioned and how this project was first announced. That took a lot of us by surprise as well. So I just want to say that publicly, that that was not something that was pre-planned. It took us by surprise, and I'd only just found out the project a week before the press release went out. So please know that we were all just as surprised as you when it went out, and this is the proper process for it to now go through council, APC, address concerns as best we can, and so forth. That was just something I believe that should not have happened, but it's happened, so now we're here. Second, I did want to get to the infrastructure. So I mentioned these two websites at the neighborhood meeting last week. Just want to remind everyone, for the public record, the two websites to go to for all of the 32 NDOT improvements. And please remember, those are NDOT projects. The city has zero control over what is happening with State Road 32 because it is a state road. We can only do our best to help inform, mitigate, and so on and so forth. So the two websites for this stretch of downtown from Sherlock Boulevard, Westfield Boulevard to East Street, a little bit of the first part of Hillcrest Drive as well, but mainly to East Street, is improvetomove32.com. Again, improvetomove32.com. That is the website to go to for that. And then, I'm so sorry. That one is for the next leg. I'll rephrase here a second. For the downtown stretch, it's 32 Connects. 32 Connects is the Westfield stretch. Going backwards, I apologize. That is Improve to Move 32. So they have a timeline, the project details, rendering, so on and so forth on those two websites. Those are going to be the two best resources for you just to be in the know of what's happening with State Road 32. What else?
Let Victor speak.
Then for the road extension that you had mentioned, sir, that is south of State Road 32, that is the Jersey Street extension. So it's not going to perfectly align up with the current Jersey Street because that's where Union Square is also going. But the Lauren or Ryan, if you could go to that, please, possibly, just so I can have a visual. Yes, thank you. So where it is on Union Street, that intersection, if you will, further west. It lines up with the entrance to the parking garage off of Union Street. So that is why that is the way it is there. And the Jersey Street extension, just like the 32 improvements, have been in the works and gone through multiple design iterations for the last 10 or so years. So this is just where it is today of what the possible Jersey Street extension would look like. Again, also similar to the possibility, again, I emphasize this, the possibility of what happens with Penn Street, of providing access for local traffic, specifically residents, to not have to get on 32. And then I think that was all of the infrastructure. For this site specifically, I think this gets glossed over. I remembered this getting announced when I just came home from college. This site was approved back in 2016 for the PUD, the Big Hoffa's Restaurant PUD. That is basically encompassing all of what the Ambrose concept plan is. There was a large, I'm looking at it right now, you can Google it, it's the Big Hoffa's Restaurant PUD. It had a massive parking lot then, and then it also accounted for a future Penn Street extension. So again, we're going back to 2016 that things have been in the works. Big Hoffa's didn't work out there. I believe this was mentioned at the neighborhood meeting that they possibly had some water issues and couldn't get water to the site. So that's why they held out and just improved the current location that they're at, which again is an awesome amenity for our residents. So this today could already possibly happen as approved. Not the multiple levels to it, having a multi-use aspect, but some sort of development today could be built here. I think that is a point of emphasis that we have to have, is that going back to 2016, this has already been an approved site location for some sort of project. So now it's how do we handle this going forward? So on this specifically with the Ambrose on Main, as you can see with the Penn Street extension, which was not in part of the first phase plan for the previously approved PUD back in 2016, as, again, not repeating myself, but as it was mentioned for the 32 improvements that are to come, and we're now here at the end of a 10-year process, and unfortunately, these are going to be the growing pains that everyone has to live through, and I know that y'all are impacted the most as well, but it's going to be difficult. But having that Penn Street extension, and I know this might be perceived differently, but the Penn Street extension, I believe, would be able to help the Hillcrest residents the most, because then you won't have to get out on the State Road 32, and if they were able to construct that before or during the construction of State Road 32, it'll be an access road for you to be able to get onto East Street, go through Penn Street, et cetera. To go down, to go north, to go to Union Street. I mean, again, that's just, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And then I also do want to go back to, while we're talking about infrastructure, looking at the State Road 32 future improvements. This was noted at the neighborhood meeting for the Western Hillcrest Drive entrance. Yes, you will be able to still turn left and right onto 32 there, going east or west, but it's not something that will obviously be advised because of safety concerns. Then when you go to the eastern part of Hillcrest Drive, you will not be able to turn left going east. So again, I want to remind everyone that there will be, unfortunately, future restrictions on which way you can and cannot turn out of Hillcrest Drive. So furthermore, the Penn Street extension will help you be able to get in and out of your subdivision. Then also wanted to address just the improvements to Hillcrest Drive in general. I mentioned this at the neighborhood meeting. Unfortunately, we have many, many, many infrastructure improvements that need to be made here in Westfield. The plan that was put out at the beginning of the year, estimates of upwards of $200 million that we're going to have to invest in over the next 8 years. Hillcrest Drive, it was not on there because there was not, this was not proposed yet or known yet of what might happen in the area. Well, just like it happened with me on the west side of town, that as developments get proposed and improved, that provides a magnifying glass of what's happening in the area, and then we're able to allocate funds to improve infrastructure. So with this project coming, I don't want to make any promises, obviously, but it will highlight, as there already is, a massive need for infrastructure improvements on Hillcrest Drive. And that'll come simultaneously with the Ambrose on Main as you're getting sidewalks and just overall street improvements and so forth. So I think I covered everything. I know that was a lot to digest right there, but I just wanted to provide all the available information for what has already been approved here, going back to 2016, and all of the infrastructure improvements that have been in the works for many years now, and unfortunately slash fortunately, we're at the tail end of it, of everything getting accomplished. So that was my thoughts. Thank you.
The 32 Connects project, which is the imminent project, what's happening that you described as far as the differences between the two access points to Hillcrest Drive? It's important to note those are also state of Indiana projects. Westfield will not be controlling or managing those. Those are projects that are continuing all the way from East Street to Noblesville in various phases. Once again, NDOT projects, not Westfield projects. So continuing on with Plan Commissioner comments or questions for the petitioner or staff.
Yeah,
Mr.
I'll jump in
Lundqvist?
real quick here. So you kind of heard Mr. Jorge talk about what this body does and what the Planning Commission does. And really our guiding principle is this city's comprehensive plan. And so I know everybody has busy lives and you can't look at city documents day in, day out, but I encourage you to go to the website, look up Westfield's comprehensive plan, and look at 3 documents in specific. The 2007 comprehensive plan, which shows you the downtown vision at a very macro level. The 2009 Grand Junction addendum that actually zoomed in on downtown and what the ideation of what the future of this would be. And then further, let me get the year here, the 2016 Grand Junction Subdistrict Addendum, which identifies the entirety of this stretch that we're talking about right now as the Main Street corridor within the Junction Subdistrict. And when you read about the Main Street corridor, and again, I know nobody gets to see this day in, day out, you're not actively looking for the comprehensive plan, but this amendment and this even further zoom in highlights the future of downtown. And so the document that we base our planning and our purview off of talks about developments like this. This corridor, this Main Street corridor, it is encouraged at minimum to have 2 stories, and it actually is encouraged to be 3, 4 stories within the document we look at on a daily basis. An extension of that, it encourages retail uses at the bottom of this and the mixed use component that you see in the retail corridor. So again, this planning body of what we do, what we review, and how we review it is what is the use and how does it tie into the plan that's been put before us in the past and the plan that we work to help staff and others curate as we move forward. So again, our purview, our view, what we are to look at, it's this. Traffic outside of our domain, infrastructure growth outside of our domain. We are here looking at use, and we're looking at use as been prescribed to us, right? So again, not saying one way or the other, but I just encourage you, if you can, get on Westfield, just Google Westfield Comprehensive Plan. Very quick link. It'll show you all the different iterations, not just for where you live, obviously that's the focal point, but Westfield as a whole. And that can help you understand what we've been tasked with and how we have to approach this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments specific to the development? If not, we'll give I was going to go on to.
Oh, sorry.
Stephanie,
Please.
You're good? Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think one thing, a lot's been said, a lot of tension, so I'm going to keep my comments brief. I think it's important looking at this, and obviously it's changing the nature of the area, but we know that that's happening down the street with the park and the other mixed-use developments that's happening in this area. As Mr. Bunkefist very eloquently put, this has been a long-term plan that we're going towards. I think anything, I'm sure you're taking these notes, anything that you can continue to think of that will help mitigate, especially from berms and trees and everything else. I think a lot of things that were said here, and even some of the items that were in the neighborhood meeting documents specifically say that there's a lot of consternation around lights and headlights and traffic and people and all those things. I think whatever you can do on the front end before this gets to workshop to kind of help us mitigate those things, I think is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mooney.
I think the themes that I think about are, it's a transition area. It's a big corridor. Communication is going to be key no matter what, collectively. So that's what I'm looking for going forward.
Thank you.
I do have one comment.
Can
I say one thing as I'm listening to all of you, and I think it all makes sense. Vic, thank you for that explanation. I think it was really good. I totally appreciate all of you. I have kids. I get it. I understand. But I also understand our commitment to the plan that's been in place. But if I look at this plan, we can do a lot more we have like calculations for, parking and things like that. 200 cars is a lot, I think, right next to a residential area. I think this is a great project. I don't think it's in the wrong location, but I do think that you can do a lot more along that edge of Hillcrest, maybe take out some parking spots, put a lot of berm and a lot of greenery there so that you don't really realize that 3 or 4 story building is there and you still have some peace and quiet. So that's just my initial thought. I know there's a lot more to consider. I think I really would have you address the developer and the city department, and we will do everything we can to keep your peaceful neighborhood peaceful and still be able to progress with what we need to do with developing the area. That's just my initial thought.
Okay, thank you. Going forward, the developer will work on what they can to address the comments that we have brought up here, all of the comments that the residents have brought in as well. You're welcome to email planners@westfield.in.gov, the address that I've mentioned numerous times. That goes to staff. If you have comments, please share them there. Staff will share them with us. We will read them. We will know what your continuing thoughts are. You can meet with staff for more detailed explanations on our processes and the timelines and things like that. The developer would be the one to address if you want to talk about specific concerns about the character of the development, schedule, any number of things. There will be the next stop on the trail of this development through our process is what's called a workshop meeting. That could be in 2 weeks, it could be, or 6 weeks rather. It occurs on the 3rd Monday. Those are public meetings. They're not in this room. They are at our city services building, which is on South Street near Cary. Cary Road, yeah. The Simon Moon Park is adjacent to it as well. We have conference rooms there. That's a meeting that is a public meeting. You're welcome to come. But there is no public comment. You would be there strictly to observe and listen. All of our meetings are streamed on the city's YouTube channel. So you can be in the room or you can be in your living room watching it on YouTube and get the same amount of information. We're not going to have outbursts. We can't conduct meetings that way. But that will be the next stop. The developer has time between now and when they come back to share what they have changed at that meeting. At that point in time, we may feel like we've resolved enough issues that it would warrant looking at as far as a possible recommendation to council. What they're proposing is a planned unit development, a PUD, which is in effect individual zoning for a project. All zoning has to be approved by an elected body. So city council will have the last say on this. After that workshop meeting, if there are no open points, the next first Monday meeting for this body will discuss it and then make a recommendation to council. Could be a favorable recommendation, could be an unfavorable recommendation, it could be that we don't have a recommendation. There are options, but we try to keep it a yes or no. because it's not helpful if we don't. We're here to do that. So continue to talk to people, share your thoughts. Like I say, email anything that you feel we need to know to planners@westfield.in.gov. We will get it, and we will read it, and we will do our best to address it. Stay in touch with the developer and stay in touch with staff. All of this information is available on the city's website. Constantly check that. You can go to our homepage, and there will be agendas for all the upcoming meetings. And as they're closer to the meeting, there will be active links for all the things that you've seen on the screen tonight. So you can review these things ahead of time and be informed. The comprehensive plan that Mr. Bunkfist references, that's been out there for a long time. It's an extremely big document because it covers the entire city. That's not something you're going to sit down some evening and read from cover to cover. It's not that kind of reading. But you can zoom in and read the parts that are relevant to Hillcrest Drive and the downtown area that would be of a concern. I encourage you to do that.
Mr. President, I think it's also worth noting that at that workshop meeting that comes, that will not be a place for approval either. So when that happens and we give feedback to the developer, we're gonna have to come back here for a vote. And so if you don't show up or you watch it online, we're not gonna pull a fast one and vote for it there. It will come back here to this first Monday meeting. And so know that that will occur in the process.
Exactly. And I maybe wasn't as clear about that, but I was trying to point that out.
You were getting there.
Yeah, and like I say, going forward, your communication needs to be in meetings with staff and the developer and email. We won't have another public hearing unless there is a substantial change to the project that means it's effectively a new one. So the likelihood of that happening is extremely low. But that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you, and we're not going to have a Q&A tonight. So please use the options I've described. I've just described that. If you don't think I've answered the question, I don't know how else to do it. Your public input is by meeting with staff, meeting with the developer, and emailing us. Write as much as you feel like you need for us to know. We will get it, and we will read it. And at a future meeting, we've had the public, no, please, please, please. Yeah. All right. We're not doing that, but we are through with the discussion on this petition for tonight. We've explained what you can do going forward, so. I don't know what I could possibly even address if we were inclined to.
Mr. President, I would continue with the agenda, please.
All right, and I would like to do that. So we are done with this for this evening. It will be back, and we're going to move on. If you want to stick around to the end of the meeting, you're welcome to. If you're going to leave, I'll hold for a moment so we can let you leave undisturbed and we won't have to talk over your noise. But we're done tonight. There's a really good offer right off the bat here to meet outside. No, I'm just waiting. Yeah. We're going to move on. There are 3 items continued to a future meeting. Nothing to discuss on them. And the only agenda left is our reports and comments. Plan Commission members, do we have anything that you would like to bring up for each other? Council liaison.
Yeah, just real briefly, last week we had our second council meeting in October, and we approved the 2025 budget. We approved the non-elected salary ordinance as well as the elected official salary ordinance. Ambrose on Main was introduced, as well as the two other items that we approved tonight. And then the Muni Code rendition of the mobile food vendors, that sister ordinance to what has already gone through APC, that was also introduced. And that will not be coming through this body, because that has to do with Muni Code as opposed to the other one, had to do with the UDO. But that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Board of Zoning Appeals. There wasn't a meeting, or was there?
We did not have a meeting.
Okay, I didn't think I'd seen one. Plat Committee met. There were two items that had public hearings and received approval, things that I'd actually almost forgotten might be in front of us. They were both associated with the PUD at Chatham Hills. There's a couple of things just north of where the Hotel Spring Hill Suites is that were connected, but individual developments, two different types of additional housing. They have their final plats approved and are ready to proceed. I gather we'll have another meeting because I got a request for confirming attendance on Monday. What is going to be in front of us on Monday?
It's an amendment to the Ravinia development.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. The agenda came out late this afternoon.
Circulation and access change.
Ryan
Excellent.
will be leading that meeting.
All right, Community Development Department, any words of wisdom for us tonight?
I do not. Thank you for your time.
Okay. That being the case, we are ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion from Mike Neal.
Second.
Seconded by Victor McCarty. Everybody in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? We are adjourned at 8:22 p.m.